Walk into any Tibetan monastery. In Dharamsala, in Kathmandu, in a converted warehouse in Brooklyn, and the first thing you see is not a Buddha. It is a monster, a fanged creature the size of a wall, gripping a giant wheel between its claws and teeth. 6 sections divide the wheel like slices, and at the very center, 3 animals chase each other in an endless circle: a rooster, a snake, and a pig. Greed chasing hatred, chasing ignorance, chasing greed. Forever, that painting has been placed at the entrance of every Buddhist monastery for over 2,000 years. The early sources say the Buddha himself instructed it. Paint this at the gate. Station a monk beside it, so that even farmers and travelers who never study a single text might grasp at a glance the shape of their own predicament and the way out. The story goes that a king named Rudrayana received this image as a gift. His ally, King Bimbisara, had gone to the Buddha and asked, "I owe this man a debt, and I have no treasure great enough. What do I send?" The Buddha did not suggest gold. He drew a wheel, divided it into 6 sections, placed 3 animals at its center, and a monster around its edge. And the texts say, Rudrayana attained realization simply by looking at it. Not meditating, not renouncing anything, by seeing a map and understanding for the first time where he had been standing all along. The Pali word for these 6 sections is gati, and it does not mean world. It does not mean place. Gati means going, a direction your mind moves when you stop paying attention. The 6 realms are not places you go when you die. They are places you go when you are not watching. And the Buddha drew a map so you could find your way back. The figure clutching this wheel has a name. And what he is showing you is not the afterlife. We will come back to him. First, the bottom of the wheel, where the paint turns red and black. At the bottom of the wheel is Naraka, the hell realm. Most people assume this is the Buddhist version of eternal damnation, a punishment for sinners handed down by a judge. It is not. It is the realm of anger, and unlike any Western hell, no one sends you there. You build it yourself. In the kingdom of Kosala, roughly 2,500 years ago, there lived a man named Angulimala. The name means garland of fingers. He wore a necklace strung from the fingers of his victims. 999 of them. He needed one more. Soldiers avoided the road where he waited. Farmers took detours of miles to keep away from his forest, and on one specific morning, cowherds saw a figure in saffron robes walking alone directly toward that road. They shouted, "The bandit is there. He has killed entire groups. Turn back." The Buddha kept walking. Angulimala spotted the robes through the trees. One more finger. He broke into a sprint. And the text, Majjhima Nikaya 86, says something happened that defied every physical law. The Buddha walked at normal pace. Angulimala ran. Young, strong, a killer who had outrun armed soldiers for years. And he could not close the distance. His lungs burned. His stride faltered. The gap between them did not shrink by a single step. He finally shouted across the road, "Stop, monk, stop!" And the Buddha, still walking, said, "I stopped long ago, Angulimala. It is you who has not stopped." That sentence cracked something open. Angulimala hurled his sword and his weapons over the edge of a cliff. He fell to the ground, and the man who had been living inside a hell realm for years, not after death, not as divine punishment, but as the natural product of rage turned into identity, stepped out of it in a single moment of recognition. He became a monk. And for months afterward, villagers who recognized him threw rocks at his shaved head when he walked for alms. He returned to the monastery bleeding. And the Buddha told him, "Bear it, Angulimala. You are bearing now, in one life, what you would have borne across many." That is what Naraka means on this map. Not a cavern below the earth, not a sentence from a judge, not something done to you, a state you generate yourself. When anger is not something you feel, but something you are. When the entire world becomes the enemy. When you cannot remember what your face looked like before the rage began. You have been there, not with a sword, but at 2 a.m, replaying what someone said to you 6 months ago, composing the reply you will never send, feeling your jaw clench and your shoulders rise, and then checking the clock and realizing 90 minutes have passed. You were not experiencing anger during that time. You had become it. That is Naraka. And you built every wall yourself. Thought by thought. Repetition by repetition. The map says, this realm has an egg. Angulimala found it in one sentence from a man who refused to fight back. But he had to stop running first. The next realm up is quieter, and for that reason, harder to escape. In the paintings, the hungry ghosts look like nothing else in Buddhist art. Bellies swollen to the size of mountains, throats as thin as a needle, mouths no wider than the eye of a pin. They reach for food, and it crumbles to ash in their hands. They watch for water, and it bursts into flame at their lips. Surrounded by abundance, unable to take any of it in. The Pedavathu, an entire book of the Pali Canon, 51 stories, describes these beings in relentless detail. One account tells of a merchant who hoarded grain while his neighbors went hungry. Now he wanders with hands that cannot grip and a throat that cannot swallow. The inversion is precise. What you refused to release becomes what you cannot receive. And every story follows the same structure, not punishment. Just thirst that increases with drinking. The Pali word is tanha. It is usually translated as craving, but that English word is too polite, too manageable. Tanha literally means thirst, the burning kind, not the kind a glass of water resolves. The kind where drinking makes you thirstier. You are not thirsty because you lack something. You are thirsty because thirst has become the permanent shape of your throat. You know this realm. You have been scrolling for 45 minutes. You are not looking for anything specific. Each post, each video, each notification gives you 1/4 second of something that almost registers as satisfaction. Then it vanishes. Your thumb moves again. You open the fridge, stare, close it, open it again. You add something to a cart at midnight and feel the micro rush of clicking purchase. By morning, nothing. The belly is full. The throat is empty. That is the hungry ghost realm, not after death. Right now, 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. In 1978, a psychologist named Philip Brickman studied what happens when people get exactly what they want. He tracked lottery winners, people who received more money in a single moment than most humans earn in decades. 18 months later, they were no happier than before they won. Their brains had recalibrated. The extraordinary became the new baseline, and the new baseline demanded even greater stimulus to register as pleasure. The hungry ghost realm is not a moral failing. It is a neurological loop, and the Buddha described its architecture 25 centuries before anyone measured it in a laboratory. The map says the antidote to this realm is generosity, not because giving is morally superior to taking, because generosity reverses the direction. Instead of pulling inward, more, 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 it opens outward. One genuine act of giving, and the needle-thin throat widens. Not because you earned release, because you stopped trying to consume your way to fullness. If this map is starting to look familiar, if you are recognizing yourself in these realms, subscribe, because what comes next is the realm most people never suspect they are trapped in. And it is not at the bottom of the wheel. Two realms sit in the middle band of the wheel, less dramatic than hellfire and needle-thin throats, more dangerous because of it. The animal realm is not about intelligence. The Pali texts use the word moha, delusion, but delusion is too dramatic for what this realm actually describes. It is the comfort of not knowing, the soft refusal to look at what is already visible. You stay in the job that stopped growing you 3 years ago. You avoid the one conversation that would change your relationship entirely. You choose the screen over the question that has been forming at the edge of your awareness for months. This is not laziness, it is protection. If you do not look, you do not have to act. If you do not know, you are not responsible for what comes next. In 1971, a Tibetan teacher named Chogyam Trungpa stood in front of a room of Western students and said something that unsettled the traditional establishment. The 6 realms are not cosmology. They are psychology. You cycle through them every day, sometimes every hour. And the animal realm, he told them, is where most comfortable people in the developed world spend most of their time. Not in obvious agony, not in dramatic craving, just asleep with their eyes open, present in the room, gone from the moment. Then there is the Asura realm, the jealous gods. In the paintings, they are warriors, locked in permanent battle, fighting over a wish-fulfilling tree whose roots grow in their territory, but whose fruit ripens in the god realm above them. They can see the fruit, they cannot reach it. And instead of planting a different tree, they fight harder. You know this realm too. It is the one where you check how someone else is doing before you check how you are doing, where your own work registers as nothing until you have measured it against someone else, where happiness depends not on what you have, but on what someone else has that you do not. Social media was not designed to generate asuras, but it is the most efficient asura-producing machine ever built. The relief in naming these realms is simple. They are not sentences, they are habits, and habits have breakpoints. The animal realm cracks the moment you ask one honest question you have been avoiding. Just one. The Asura realm dissolves the moment you stop measuring yourself against another person and ask, what do I actually want? Not what do I want to beat someone else at? What do I want now? The top of the wheel, the realm every person would choose if given the option. The Deva realm, the realm of the gods. In the paintings, these beings live bathed in golden light. Music plays without anyone playing it. Flowers bloom without soil. They have no hunger, no conflict, no loss, no effort. They live for what feels like eternity. And the map says, this is the most dangerous section of the entire wheel. Why would paradise be a trap? Because when everything is comfortable, there is no friction. When there is no friction, there is no reason to examine anything closely. When you stop examining, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you do not notice that you are falling until the music has already stopped. The Buddha described it as the suffering unique to gods. They live so long in ease that they forget ease is conditional. And when their accumulated merit finally exhausts itself, because nothing conditioned lasts, the flowers wilt. Their companions turn away. Their beauty fades. The Chinese pilgrim Xuanzang recorded seeing paintings of this in 7th century Indian monasteries. Devas weeping as their garlands dried, and their companions vanished one by one. It was considered the most tragic scene on the wheel. Not the hells, the heavens coming apart. Brickman's lottery study proved the mechanism in numbers, but what it reveals about the Deva realm is this. Pleasure without awareness is not freedom. It is a countdown. You feel nothing wrong, so you examine nothing. So when the fall comes, you have no tools, no resilience, no training in discomfort, just free fall. And here is where the painting reveals its deepest layer. The word in Pali is not samsara chakra. It is bhava chakra. Bhava means becoming. You are not in a realm the way you are in a room. You are in the process of becoming a being in a realm. Right now, with every thought, every reaction, every habit you do not question. You are becoming something. The wheel does not trap you. You are spinning it. The Devadutta Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 130, describes what happens when the becoming has run its full course. A being arrives before Yama, the same figure whose claws grip the painting at the monastery entrance. And Yama does not punish, does not torture. He asks questions. Did you not see the first divine messenger? A newborn, helpless, lying in its own filth, completely dependent on the mercy of others? Yes, Lord. I saw one. Did you not see the second? A person 80, 90 years old. Crooked, leaning on a stick, trembling, gray-haired, teeth gone? Yes, I saw. Did you not see the third? A body being carried to the burning ground? Lifeless, stiff, being consumed by flame? Yes, Lord. I saw that too. Then why did you not act? The messengers were not hidden. They were everywhere. Every birth you witnessed, every aging face, every funeral. These were not events happening to other people. They were messages addressed to you. The map was in plain sight. You walked past it every day, and this is the final turn of the wheel. 1. There is one realm, only one, where all the divine messengers are visible and where you have the capacity to respond. Every other realm has a dominant poison that blinds you. In hell, rage blinds. Among the hungry ghosts, thirst blinds. Among the gods, comfort blinds. Only in the human realm is sight mixed with motivation. You can see the messengers, and you still have the power to act. You are in it, right now. The human realm. This is not a neutral position on the map. This is the exit point. The only section of the wheel where awakening is possible. That is why the Buddha drew this diagram for a king drifting toward the God realm in his palace. Comfortable, successful, slowly falling asleep inside his own good fortune. The painting was a wake-up call. Here is where you are. Here is what is coming. Here is the door you have been walking past. Rudrayana saw it, saw himself on the wheel. And the texts say that was enough. The monster at the monastery entrance is not threatening you. Name? His name is Yama, and he is classified in the Buddhist texts not as a demon, but as a Dharmapala, a protector of the teaching. He holds up the wheel the way a doctor holds up an X-ray. not to frighten, to show you what you cannot see from the inside. 3 things to carry from this map. First, the 6 realms are not places you travel to after death. They are mental states you generate daily, sometimes hourly. Anger builds hell. Craving builds the hungry ghost. Willful ignorance builds the animal. Jealousy builds the asura. Comfort and pride build the god. And desire mixed with just enough awareness to feel the question, that generates the human. You do not go to these realms. You create them with every reaction you leave unexamined. Second, the antidote is not escape. It is recognition. The moment you can name which realm you are generating. I am in the hungry ghost realm right now. I am in the ghost realm right now. I am consuming because nothing fills the gap. You have already opened distance between yourself and the state. You are no longer the realm. You are the awareness seeing the realm. That gap is the entire teaching. Third, you are not a being trapped on a wheel. You are not your anger. You are not your craving. You are not your comfort. You are the awareness that can read the map. The fact that you recognized yourself in these descriptions, the fact that something in you heard these words and said, yes, I know that place, means you were never identical to any single realm. You are the one who sees. And the one who sees has always been standing at the exit. The door was never locked. You just did not know it was a door. The Buddha did not draw this wheel to frighten a king. He drew it because he knew the hardest part of being lost is not finding the way out. It is admitting you are lost. The map has been at the entrance this whole time. Tourists photograph it and keep walking. You do not have to. Which realm did you wake up in this morning? Not the one you think you should be in. The one you are actually standing in right now. Drop it in the comments, because this map only works if you are honest about where you are. And if this changed how you see the wheel, send it to one person who might be generating a realm without knowing it. The map works better when someone else can see it with you. I will see you in the next one.